I'm Kalendra Blank.
And I'm Kanaja Jenkins.
And we are the founders of Flourishing Family.
Last week we took a poll and it came up to a tie. And so we're going to talk about the two different topics. I'm going to start with the first one and then Kalendra's going to cover up with the second one. So first, we're going to talk about different organizational types. This is all based off of the information off of the IRS website. So I'm just going to go down the line and talk about different types of organizations. The number one organization is 501c3, which is what Flourishing Families is. We're a religious and a charitable organization that help a social cause. And then if I go back to the top, 501c1, Federal Credit Union, 501c4, Social Welfare Organization, 501c5, a labor organization, 501c6, a Chamber of Commerce, 501c7, recreational clubs. All of these 501c's, they all have a cause, they all have a reason. 501c8 is a fraternity, 9 through 11 is association, and 12 through 29, and there's a total of 29 companies, associations, trusts, and funds.
That's a lot of 501s.
That's a lot of 501s.
So you said that the most familiar one and the one that everybody knows is 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
How difficult is it to become a 501c anything?
It's a very large packet. I remember when we did ours. Oh my gosh. Now, we were just fortunate enough to answer everything correctly, but if you don't, they'll send you a letter back. You have to answer it in a lot amount of time. It can take up to a year. Ours only took 3 months, but most of the time it's 6 months to 12 months. And they ask you a lot of in-depth questions, things. If you have never done anything with a nonprofit, you won't know how to answer those questions. You have to call them, you have to talk to people to understand how to answer the question. It's very in-depth.
Yes, and a lot of reading, so make sure that you read it carefully, understand the questions. If you do not know the answers to all the questions, I would highly recommend you refer to an accountant, call the IRS, ask your questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions because it is a very lengthy process, and by not answering the questions correctly could make it more difficult, more trying.
And a longer process for that approval that you're looking for.
Yes, because now they're unsure of your certainty of what you're doing. So,
and it's also, that's just step number one, because you still have to go to the state for recognition, you have to go to the city for recognition, you have to go to the county for recognition, and if you want to go state to state, if your organization wants to be in more than one place, you have to do that in every single state.
Yes. So definitely do your research on that if you're deciding to become a 501c anything, but especially a 501c3. Okay, and so the next question we put up as a poll was, why are there so many funding gaps? Especially for a lot of clients, they hear that, oh, we're out of funding. So what does that mean? Well, a lot of organizations receive their funding from the government on reimbursable grants, through philanthropists that have decided, hey, I want to invest in private donors such as yourselves, and corporations. So in order to receive that funding, there is a budget that has to be set by the organization, and that budget has to be given to any one of those the places that they receive funding from. So the government or the corporation, they have to submit their budget. Yes.
The grantor.
Yeah, to the grantor. And what that means is, for example, if I tell the government that I'm going to help 8 people, and I make sure that I help those 8 people with that funding, and then I get a 9th person, I am now out of funding. I cannot assist you. And that is one way that there's a funding gap, or it can appear to be a funding gap, which is why it's so important for people to donate to nonprofits and get involved in their nonprofits in their community. Another way is a mismanagement of funds on behalf of the nonprofit, which is like the number one fear for all those people that give. So you're like, how do you mismanage funds? How do you misappropriate funds? And one thing that can happen is that you say you want to help 8 people, you only helped 6 people because you did not see an increase in your rent or other expenses that nonprofits have. So it's very important to budget your funding appropriately and ensure that you have the right resources in place.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
make sure that you have everything. We use a budget, like I want to say a budget sheet, pretty much. So we're only going to pay this amount of money for this amount of funds. You can't go over this amount for each rent that we pay. We don't pay certain things, and we stick to not being able to pay utilities. We're not going to pay cable. That's a need. You know, there's certain things that we won't pay. That way we make sure that we're inside of our funding, inside of our budget amount.
Yes, and you want to make sure that your allocations are set appropriately. So you don't want to misallocate the funding, and then you spend it in an area that you didn't have allocated. And that's another reason why those people that donate, you want to make sure that that your nonprofit is transparent with you. So they should be able to show you their books and how they spent your dollars. And that is highly important. So stay tuned to our next poll. Make sure you weigh in. Make sure you get your questions answered, especially if you want to give to a nonprofit. If you have something that you want to say or you want us to speak about, let us know. We would surely invite you to our show or answer your questions.
Oh yeah. So next week, and I'm going to say this boldly, we're going to talk about board membership, and we're going to talk about getting people on your board and what that takes. So stay tuned for next week.
All right. Thank you.